Right now, we're about to blow up everything you thought you knew about history. We're going to show you 6 facts that official science has desperately tried to bury, but can't hide any longer. A fully functional nuclear reactor thousands of years old, an iron hammer from the age of dinosaurs, mind-blowing nanotechnology frozen in permafrost, and traces of spacecraft buried in the desert sands. But that's just the warm-up. The most horrifying secret is literally right under your feet. Our planet is a giant, long-abandoned quarry, a dead world that was strip-mined and gutted before we ever arrived. Ready to learn the terrifying truth and finally see the real face of Earth? Then buckle up. Let's go. The sands of a restricted zone are hiding something that has no right to exist here. When the wind strips away the dust, even seasoned scientists feel their blood run cold. Rising from the dunes is not some crumbling ruin or ancient statue. It's a massive iron pipe covered in rivets. Its nose is buried deep in the ground, while the tail section with engines points straight at the sky, frozen a split second before launch, like a rocket that never took off. This is the exact object from those forbidden photos that vanished from the internet almost overnight. Scientists mutter something about a ritual pillar, but any mechanic who sees it instantly knows that's complete nonsense. This isn't stone carved by hand. This is precision engineering. Chemists are stunned. The hull has lain in the earth for 12,000 years, yet there isn't a single speck of rust. It still shines like it just came off the assembly line. Inside, a fuel delivery system eerily identical to modern spacecraft technology, and nozzles packed with thousands of microscopic cooling tubes. Something like this can only be manufactured in a vacuum. The perfect aerodynamic lines were created for one purpose only: to fly faster than sound. This isn't a temple. This is a lifeboat. A technological ark built by people who knew catastrophe was coming and tried to flee the doomed planet. Something obviously went wrong. The launch button was never pressed. The crew perished, and the rocket remained behind. An eternal monument to an escape that never happened. But any ship is just dead metal without its brain. And the most terrifying discovery was waiting inside that iron coffin. At the beginning of the 20th century, Greek sponge divers off the island of Antikythera pulled up a strange green lump from the seabed. For decades, it sat in a museum as worthless junk. Then it dried out, cracked open, and revealed something that should never have existed. Inside was a complex mechanism made of dozens of bronze gears, dials, and pointers. When scientists scanned it with powerful X-rays, they were literally speechless. It was a genuine mechanical computer. Every single gear was cut with a precision impossible to achieve by hand or file. The teeth were perfectly uniform, as if sliced by a laser. To build something like this, the craftsmen would have needed powerful microscopes and tools finer than a human hair. Technology that, according to official history, didn't exist for another 2,000 years. But the biggest bombshell is hidden inside the device itself. There's a component engineers call a differential, the exact mechanism that lets car wheels turn at different speeds when cornering. The heart of every modern vehicle, officially invented only 500 years later. Yet the ancient Greeks, whom we're told believed in myths and fairy tales, already possessed a device more sophisticated than any Swiss watch. Historians claim it was just a calendar to know when to plant crops. Sure, except this computer could calculate the positions of planets that science at the time didn't even know existed. Maybe it was a navigator for time travel, or the control panel for a weapon that wiped the previous civilization off the map. But any computer is useless without power, and the trail of unimaginable energy leads us to the deep mines of Africa, to a place called Oklo. In the 1970s, physicists noticed something impossible: the local uranium ore was missing a critical isotope needed for a chain reaction. Someone had already burned it. Inside the rocks, they found radioactive waste products that only appear after a nuclear reactor has been running. Scientists rushed to call it a natural reactor, claiming uranium just happened to clump together, water flooded in, and it started working by itself. But for a reactor to operate stably for hundreds of thousands of years without exploding, you need ultra-pure water and incredibly sophisticated control systems. In Oklo, the reaction ran perfectly evenly for millennia, as if an invisible operator was constantly adjusting the controls. And the dangerous waste, neatly sealed away in stone tombs so it wouldn't poison the environment, exactly the way modern nuclear engineers do it today. Nature doesn't build nuclear power plants. We are standing on the ruins of a gigantic ancient power station. 2 billion years ago, turbines were humming here and bright lights were burning, powering cities, of which not even dust remains today. If they had that much electricity, there should be motors too. And one such artifact was found in Egypt, still baffling engineers to this day. In the Cairo Museum, among ordinary clay pots, sits the Sabu disc, a stone plate with blades curved inward and a central hub. Scientists call it a fruit bowl or lamp. Try putting an apple in a bowl with a hole in the middle and you'll immediately see how ridiculous that is. The shape is identical to the impeller of a high-performance modern pump. The material is metasilt, extremely brittle stone that turns to dust if you hit it with a hammer. Carving those razor-thin blades by hand is physically impossible. You'd need a high-speed machine and a cutter harder than diamond. When a precise replica was spun in tests, it functioned as a powerful turbine, pumping water with incredible force. This isn't tableware. It's a petrified component of a complex machine, possibly the cooling pump for that very reactor. The ancients probably found a broken part, didn't understand what it was, and carved a stone copy for the pharaoh's tomb. Classic cargo cult, worshipping the artifacts of gods. June 1936, Texas. Scorching sun, unbearable heat. Max Hahn and his wife Emma wanted to escape the temperature and went for a walk along the dry bed of Red Creek. Around them, perfect silence on an ordinary lazy weekend. No one could have guessed their random find would shatter history forever. Emma spotted a strange piece of rock on a ledge. It looked completely out of place. Sticking out of the gray limestone was something that looked like a broken wooden handle. The couple took the boulder home. For over 10 years, the artifact just sat around, on a shelf, in the garage, sometimes used as a doorstop. Then one day their son grabbed a chisel and hammer. A sharp crack. The stone split open, and the sound split official science in two. Inside was a perfectly preserved hammer, iron head, and the remains of a wooden handle. When geologists examined it, their faces went white. The rock belonged to the Edwards Formation, 140 million years old, Lower Cretaceous, the time of Diplodocus and pterodactyls. Our ancestors were still tiny mammals hiding in burrows. And in that prehistoric world, someone dropped an iron hammer into wet silt. The silt hardened, turned to stone, and for 140 million years sealed away impossible evidence. Skeptics screamed fake, but the handle ended the argument. Over 140 million years, the wood didn't rot. It petrified and turned into coal at the same time. Impossible to fake. That requires colossal pressure, zero oxygen, and millions of years. Chemical analysis of the head shocked metallurgists even more. Normal earthly iron always contains carbon. It gives strength, but causes rust. This hammer has zero carbon, 96.6% pure iron, the rest chlorine and sulfur. Today we can only produce such metal in vacuum furnaces with extremely powerful magnetic fields. A primitive blacksmith could never do it. This is technology that in some ways surpasses our own. And here's the final kicker. You know how iron left outside turns to rust in rain and air? This hammer spent 100 million years in wet soil, then nearly a century in open air. And there isn't a single speck of rust. It still shines like it just came from the store. The chlorine atoms created a perfect protective molecular film. Whoever forged it possessed the secret of eternal iron. We spend billions fighting corrosion. A craftsman from the dinosaur age solved it like it was nothing. This hammer is crude, heavy proof, but sometimes the most shocking traces of advanced technology hide where you can't see them with the naked eye, in a world smaller than a dust particle. To see the final evidence of ancient super-civilizations, we'll need the most powerful electron microscope, the Urals, remote taiga reachable only by helicopter or tracked vehicle. A team of geologists hunting for gold drilled through frozen ground and washed tons of sand in the icy rivers Naroda and Kojim. They were used to seeing only gold flakes and worthless rock. That year they found something that made them forget gold forever. Among the ordinary sand, strange, shiny objects began to appear. At first they thought it was modern trash, but the deeper they dug, the more they found. Not a few, but thousands. They lay 10 to 12 meters deep in permafrost that had been untouched for over 100,000 years. No bulldozer could have pushed fragile items that deep into rock-hard ground. These objects entered the soil when mammoths and woolly rhinos still roamed the taiga. When the samples were placed under a powerful microscope, the lab fell deathly silent. Perfect spirals and springs, the largest ones, a couple of centimeters. The smallest, hundreds of times thinner than a human hair, measured in nanometers. Imagine a spring so tiny you can't see it, yet every coil is flawless, following the golden ratio. Nature creates chaos, crystals, fractals, but never perfect industrial springs made of pure metal. This is unmistakably the product of intelligence and the highest engineering. You could only manufacture something like this in the 21st century, in sterile clean rooms with robotic arms. Human hands are far too crude. It's like trying to repair a wristwatch while wearing boxing gloves, except a million times harder. Chemical analysis delivered the knockout blow. Larger spirals were pure copper. The microscopic ones were tungsten and molybdenum. Tungsten has the highest melting point of any metal on Earth, over 3,000 degrees Celsius, hotter than the surface of some stars and twice as hot as volcanic lava. A regular campfire reaches only 700 degrees Celsius. Working with tungsten requires specialized electric furnaces, vacuum, and extremely advanced equipment. Now picture this, 100,000 years ago. Wild taiga, snow, mammoths. And in the middle of it all, someone was industrially melting tungsten, drawing wires thinner than hair and winding them into perfect nanospirals. Why? These weren't decorations. You can't wear beads you can't even see. These were technical components of something vast and complex. The spirals were found by the ton, the output of giant factories and an advanced industry we know nothing about. The theories get darker and darker. Some physicists are convinced this is smart dust. Billions of nanorobots capable of flight, self-assembly into any shape, surveillance, and data transmission. Perhaps we found the remains of an ancient internet, sprayed into the atmosphere. Others suggest climate weapon components, weather control antennas, or parts from the legendary flying Vimanas. We're proud of our computers. 100,000 years ago, someone was building technology at the atomic level and blanketing the entire planet in smart machines. They broke down, burned out, and turned into the dust we now find in streams. Our whole planet is one giant technological graveyard. We walk on the rust of ancient robots, drink water filtered through the burned microchips of the gods, and call it natural resources. But it's just the trash of a super civilization that lived here before us. And if they, the ones who mastered nanotechnology and conquered the atom, vanished without a trace, what fate awaits us with our primitive gadgets? Look at the smartphone in your hand. Look at the walls of your house and the asphalt outside. You think this is the pinnacle of progress? You think this world is eternal? You're wrong. Those who lived here before us thought exactly the same. They were proud of their machines, made grand plans, believed in forever. Now look at what's left of them. A hammer sealed in stone, a spring in the mud, and glowing uranium. That was their ending. And ours is coming. Time isn't a straight line. It's a circle. And that circle is closing right now. If you're not afraid of the truth, subscribe to the channel right now. Smash that like button so this video reaches as many people as possible before it's too late. And write in the comments, do you believe we can break this circle? Or are we doomed to become just another mysterious artifact for future archaeologists?